Have you boys had your own issues with mental health in the past or in the present, or?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah?
Yeah.
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 I think most men have nowadays, really, have they? Or most people in general.
Yeah, I would say the thing is, it's very human to have those emotions, and I feel like the more that it's spoke about, the more that people realise that, yeah, that is an emotion that I felt, and it's actually not weird for me to feel that. It's in our nature. So
yeah, we're only human, and it's nice to see there's less stigma around, especially men.
Yeah, definitely.
And the whole
definitely.
man up phrase is, it's coming out of the mainstream now.
Yeah, coming out of like juniors, obviously we're all playing rugby. Growing up, you're like, if you get hurt, you're just like, right, you need to man up now. Same thing as if you get sacked, it's kind of like, get on with it, man up. But I think we're getting to a point where we should be able to talk about it freely and not have to worry about being judged for being less of a man just because we have these emotions.
Yeah, we shouldn't have to feel like we have to recluse to ourselves.
Just to like talk about my own experiences, like this season or this like last 6 months or so, I struggled really badly with anxiety. And don't really know why, but just sort of do. I'll be absolutely fine playing rugby with you boys sometimes. Then I think you boys might have noticed there's been times this year in training where I've just sort of walked out. And half the time that's because I'm having like a panic attack in the toilet or something. But like, I think just being able to say that and being able to have the time where I know I can leave those sessions, have that little 5 minutes to myself, regather myself and then come back out and know that I'm not going to be judged for doing that, I think is a really important thing.
Yeah, and sometimes you do just need those little 5 minutes just to, recompose yourself, look after yourself for a minute, and then you're ready to go back into whatever it was before you were doing.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes that could be just 5 minutes, take time out, but sometimes it could be like a few days, a few weeks, or even like a prolonged period of time.
the biggest thing that we now need to push for is being able to say to your mate or your teammate or your coach or anyone that you're close to, say, I am taking this time out because of this. Because it's so easy just to walk away and take 5 minutes out and come back and be like, I'm fine, nothing happened. I just went for some fresh air. I think the difference is now is making that push towards being, telling your mate, like, oh, just had a little panic attack, just thought I'd let you know, like, I'm feeling a bit fragile at the moment, so I'm going to try and get back involved, but I'd like it not to be a big thing, but I thought I'd just let you know to keep you in the loop kind of thing. Like, I think that's where we're moving towards now, is that you don't have to pretend that even though you've taken this time out, that it was like a very normal thing to do and nothing actually come of it. Like, it's okay to be like, I had a bad time just then and I took some time away and this is why, and now this is what I'm doing to help myself, or this I'm telling you so that you can be aware of it.
I think another really important thing is like, just even if you're not aware of like your mates going through a bad time or something, just dropping that little message, saying that like extra little bit of training or whatever you see them, just being like, how is everything? Just those little things make that world of difference. Even if it's just like just a little 2-minute conversation on the phone, like all of those little conversations add up so much and it helps that much more.
Yeah, because I think with that as well, because you don't know what people are going through, like no matter how big or small, like at least making yourself available and like making sure people know that if you're there, because like it's up to them whether they want to like share that with you, because it might be like quite a personal thing to them, like they may not want to share with the rugby team, might just be like their family or something, but at least making sure that people know that you're there, that you can talk to, and like people having those people that they can go to when they are going through like a hard time.
Yeah, it's giving yourself as an option for someone. You're saying that, I'm not asking you to tell me. I'm telling you that if you feel comfortable telling me, I want you to know that you can come to me.
It's being that option, isn't it?
Yeah.
Being that outlet that someone knows they can have. I think just like not even a matter of like just talking about it. I think it's really important that people realise that seeking help isn't a bad thing. Like I myself, I've been through counselling and I've been on medication. That's something that I used to be quite embarrassed of.
There was a time in my life where I'd be petrified of even telling anyone that or even admitting to it. And I feel like in myself that's slowly breaking down as well.
I feel like actually realising that you need help and going to seek it out is probably one of the bravest things you can do. But now I'm getting to a point where I'm quite happy to openly talk about it and be honest about being on medication.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've found that being open about it and actually being able to talk to it has helped me a lot, probably more than the medication has.
I feel like for me, one of the biggest things about eventually, going to the doctors and talking to someone about it was the fact that I myself, I'm the oldest of 4. I've got 3 younger brothers, and to me, the thought of my younger brothers looking at me and being weak in a sense, and by needing to go and ask for help was something that put me off for so long. Even like my mum and dad knowing, like I never told them like I was going to the doctors. Even when I went to the doctor, I didn't tell mum, dad I was going to the doctors. I just went because I was just so terrified of my family seeing me as this person who can't deal with it on their own and has to have help just to get through like everyday life. And if it honestly, like it, I used to sit there and I would cry for hours just over the thought of my brothers, thinking that like my older brother's a weak man. He's got to go get like talk to someone or have medicine because his head isn't right.
Yeah, I think a time in my life when I should have gone to get help was right after my dad died. I cried once in like a period of like 8 months of him having died. It wasn't until my brother rang and I heard him crying down the phone that I cried. And then we stopped the call. I passed him off to my mum. I stopped crying and I didn't cry about it since. Because in the environment I was in, I realised my brother was struggling with the situation more than I was. My mum was the only other one in the house, and I didn't want to be the guy who was like not coping with it when my brother and sister were dealing with it so much worse than I was.
You wanted to be the strong one for everyone else.
So I just got on with it, and I didn't talk to anyone.
And something that Rodri just said hit me quite hard. It's the whole not crying about it thing. You know, we made that video a couple of weeks ago saying about the last time you cried, and it's one of those things where, coming back to the stigma thing, it's like men aren't allowed to cry.
Yeah.
And I do think it's one of those outlets that everyone can share. It just helps you get your feelings out. It's okay to break down. You know, just get everything that you need to out. And I think I suffer for something like you, Roger, where I just don't know how to anymore because of, you know, I didn't get the help I needed to when I did.
I saw something online before, and it was basically saying how our generation of men, we either don't cry at all, or if we do cry, it's like hysterical tears, like beyond control.
Oh yeah.
And I think that comes with like, you know, previous generations. It was just, men shouldn't cry, men need to man up, men need to do that. So we've grown up in environments where we almost don't know how to control our emotions and to control our tears. But I love having a good cry every now and then. Because realistically, we're not trained professionals, we don't have all the answers.
No.
But I find that even if I'm talking to boys in my house or something, it's just nice to get off your chest.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just so nice to get off your chest.
You don't always need to have an answer for them. You just need to be a shoulder for them, an ear for them, someone they can confide in. You don't need to have the answer.
But yeah, it is perfectly okay for anyone to be depressed, anyone to be anxious, anyone to feel sad. Like we've said multiple times, they're human emotions. If you don't feel them, then I wouldn't believe you, because I don't think there's anyone that doesn't get touched.
I guarantee you do. You're just locking them away.
I think that's my biggest takeaway is that I've said it once and I'll say it again. Like, we're not robots. We are not programmed to be happy all the time. It's unnatural to be happy all the time. In fact, it's very natural to be happy 60% of the time and maybe not so happy 40% of the time.
Yeah.
You know, we aren't physically programmed to be that person all the time. We're not physically programmed to be the best version of ourselves all the time. And I think accepting that is one of the best things you will ever do for yourself, is that you are not going to be your best version of yourself 24/7. And it's okay to not be that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That camera's going off and we're having a fat hug.
They say the perfect hug should last for 8 seconds.
Oh, I'm saying 8 minutes.
That's way too
Let's get this thing like
Only 36% of referrals to the NHS are for talk therapy for men.
Suicide is the biggest killer of men under 50 years old in the UK.
1 in 4 people will have a mental health problem each year in England, and 1 in 5 people have suicidal thoughts.
In the UK, nearly 12 men a day lose their lives to suicide, at a rate 3 times more than women.
Be a bro, grow a mo, and get talking.